And we're back with another episode.
Another episode.
So we had a weekend partying it up in Vegas.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I'm just kidding. Wasn't really partying. But to me, like, we stayed up really late.
Yeah.
So that's like partying for me.
Well, yeah, we just got back from Vegas, but it's like it's so many weekends in a row that we've been like on the West Coast for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and come back. Get there Friday, come back Sunday. To go to like LA or Vegas for like 2 days like that is very difficult for me. I get so fucking tired.
Even like if you're not going out or not really drinking, it's just the travel alone is exhausting it's a long trip for 2 days and then doing it so many times in such a short period.
So we flew out there because Caitlin was invited to be a guest on Derek Moneyberg's interview show. Derek Moneyberg is like, what would you say he is? A financial business guy on Instagram. He's got a gigantic following, like 4 million people. But he's sort of like, there's a lot of people like him, like Grant Cardone is similar to him. Gary V's similar, but he's a little like wackier with like NFTs.
Well, different personality, but same type content. Of thing. Like a rich person that's trying to teach people how to make money.
Yeah, that's what's kind of cool. Like I've always liked, I didn't know about Derek Moneyberg until recently, but I always liked Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Because he's someone who is tremendously successful in real estate, but now once you get to a certain level of success, you kind of just become like a coach or a teacher and run seminars and instruction. And then you make crazy money off of that, just teaching people to be rich. But it's pretty cool. But it was cool because so you got invited out there and got to spend some time with him. He had the top floor of the Trump Towers. We stayed. It was really cool. Or he hosted the interview there. What'd you think?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. It was cool. I always think like, that's what's so cool about, it's so weird. I fight, but like just because it's such a popular sport and a lot of people are interested in it, it like enables you to like meet people that you would have never really meet before. But I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if like his show was like the interview was going to be about just fighting. I think he has all these fighters on, and I think he's obviously like a huge MMA fan. He goes to like all the UFC events and in Vegas sits like on a couch.
They got him a couch. He sits front row in a couch, not a chair, Apex. But a front row in a leather couch, and he's eating snacks and just chilling in the front row.
Yeah, so it was cool. I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to get the opportunity to just to like meet different people and get to talk to them. And, one thing that I've, kind of learned or that I kind of changed my attitude as I got older is I don't care really what people think. And I think that confidence comes along with being like, oh, well, someone like him, I can ask him any question I have about business because he's impressed by me because he's a fan of fighting. So It's kind of like, all right, you're a fan of me, so I can't really look stupid, And I just always like, as I got older, I just think I'm like, I don't care. I'll just ask people questions. And that's the only way you're going to learn. And I feel that once you ask people for advice or help, most of the time they want to help you and they're almost flattered and then they want to help you. So like, that's the biggest thing I think, like, just ask people questions, especially if someone like him obviously is super rich and super successful, does real estate, I guess podcasting and all that stuff. So like what better person for us to meet and get to, pick his brain apart. So that was interesting. And I'm glad we got to do that.
And it's funny because it seems that's like a personality trait of like super successful people. Once you reach a certain level of success, I think that they enjoy like answering questions and like showing people and like guiding them because it's like flattering to them that you seek their counsel, seek their advice. Like if someone asks me a question, like I kind of like do whatever I can to help them. I like to do that too. But it seems like the more successful a person is, the more apt to like enjoy helping people. But he was like, after the interview, we sat there and wanted us to ask him all types of business questions and was asking about real estate. And he was just super helpful and cool. And it was a fun experience. I was happy I got to meet him because of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was cool. And then, he was at my last fight and saying, he watched it there. And then we went to the fights the next day at the Apex. And then we saw him there and we're talking. And it was just a cool experience. Like I said, like to meet someone like that. It's just cool how, through fighting, you meet so many different types of people just through that.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I like people like that who actually are tremendously successful and then decide to become a coach or whatever. Because there's also the version of that that's not necessarily successful. They try to build like the
Success from
coach
that.
first. Like, oh, I teach you how to run a business or I teach you how to build a social media. I see people like on my like Facebook and stuff that I went to high school with that try to do stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, oh, I'm a business coach. I'll teach you how to build your brand. And they put out like content about how to build an Instagram brand and they have like 200 followers.
That's
And they like talk into the
insane.
camera like, hey, everyone, thanks for turning into my story, blah, blah, blah. So that is something that's like the most cringy thing ever. But when someone like, Grant Cardone or Derek Moneyberg wants to do that, then it's like really cool. You're like, well, I want to do what you do.
Yeah, even if you don't like their personality, like I'm not the
Right.
biggest Gary Vee fan, but he's obviously doing something right. Not everyone's personality is for everyone, but yeah, most of the time on social media you see the opposite where people are trying to tell you how to be successful or good at something or a lot of coaching and a lot
Life
of
coaches.
coaching, mentoring, and I'm like, but what makes you in position to do that? And the confidence is like mind blowing to me.
Yeah. And those people like to use like just like phrases and like vocabulary.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you have to have synergy and the universe
Yeah.
and, like
Yeah, a lot of
catchwords,
like spiritual talk.
energy,
Yeah, spiritual talk and all that. I'm like, wait, what are you actually saying?
affirmations.
Yeah.
Like Derek Moneyberg doesn't do stuff like that.
No, no.
He's like real advice.
Mhm.
But it was pretty cool. But then, so we went to the fights. We're gonna get into the fights. But the one night after the fights, we went out and we were with our good friend Jake Shields and his girl. And where'd we go? What was the club?
Excess.
XS. We're in Club XS in
Mhm.
Vegas, which was a really cool place in the Encore. And we were having a lot of fun. And it was like 2 a.m. Then we looked down, and then it was 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So it sucked. The one night we were out, we lost the party hour.
It was funny because when that happened, you and Jake were like,
I was
"Oh, this
crushed.
sucks." And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, "Oh my God, thank God," because I don't know how much longer I can stand. I'm like, my legs are so tired. And I like wasn't like I hadn't drank in like a couple hours at that point, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting tired." And then when it hit 3 in my head, everyone was like, "Oh, this sucks." And
Jake was legit sad.
yeah, I didn't want to say it because I was like, I felt like I was the only one, but I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy because I'm so tired."
Yeah, so then we bounced out of there, but that to me was the only time I thought about daylight savings. Like I didn't know that it was daylight
Mhm.
savings. I didn't know, I didn't set my clock. Your phone does it automatically. It doesn't affect me. But I cannot get over how many things I hear about this daylight savings. And like I saw that something was brought to the Supreme Court
Yeah,
to
they.
abolish daylight savings.
Mhm.
And they want to make it so starting in 2023 that we don't do that. We just say, at a one time the whole year. Like I think Arizona does that. But I was like, well, why? I was thinking maybe there was some reason. And the reason that I saw is that there's a multitude of potential negative consequences from the shift from daylight savings. So that 1 hour, they say the next day there's more accidents and people have heart attacks and all this stuff. And they say it's just terrible for your health.
Depression.
Depression, losing an hour of sleep is so critical. And I'm thinking, who are these people? Like, are they so regimented that they notice losing 1 hour of sleep?
Grow up.
Like, people usually fall asleep like on their couch watching Netflix whenever they fall asleep.
Right.
Like, it's not like they go to sleep in a dark room with no electricity, no electronics.
I've seen so many people post, "Oh my god, this daylight savings has got me so fucked up." I'm like, "Grow up." Like like how soft are we that 1 hour is that or
I wouldn't even notice if it was like 3 hours. I don't
yeah.
think I would notice.
So one, we're just so soft that that's it. And like two, you have nothing else to worry about besides like an hour of time difference. Like,
Well, another thing I read, because I saw like the Barstool 1 Minute Man breakdown
yeah,
did a breakdown on this, and he seemed to be against it too. Like, I'm not for it or against it. I don't care. But the
I don't
fact that
care.
this got to the Supreme Court is insane to me, because they're like, oh, it leads to cardiovascular morbidities. There's more, chronic heart problems because that 1 hour you lose. Then they like, well, why don't they make sugar illegal, or alcohol, or
Yeah.
tobacco, or like
Anything.
scrolling through TikTok for like till 4 a.m.
Right.
There's a million things that people do that are terrible for your health. And it's just so weird, the things that, sometimes we take action on.
You know what's funny too is a lot of people are talking about how, oh, sleep is so important for you. And I totally agree.
Of course it
as
is.
a professional athlete, sleep is one thing that when I'm in fight camp, I prioritize. I'm super strict with that.
Yes.
But when I hear people talking about sleep and they're like, it's so important, that's why if you're, you have to listen to your body and sleep. I'm also like, all right, if you're just a regular person, like, you know what I mean?
But
Get
no one does
over
that.
it.
Like, no one does it. I mean, there are some people who are health conscious and make the right decisions and eat healthy, but the most people, I would say the majority of people, just kind of exist.
Right.
And they're eating like, Pop-Tarts and falling asleep on the couch.
But complaining about the daylight savings. I just think that our time could be better used with other things.
Right. Like, who cares about that? I can't believe how much I'm seeing about that. The Supreme Court.
That's wild. I feel like we have such bigger issues to deal with than that. I don't even
I feel like
know.
I'm missing something on that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, definitely. But I've seen like people posting, even before I heard this, I see people posting so many memes about daylight savings. It sucks. It sucks. I'm like, oh my God, your life must be so boring if that's all you're thinking about.
I don't even notice.
I
Your
was just
phone
like-
does it automatically. The only reason I noticed is because I was fucking raging in Club Excess and I lost an hour.
Yeah, that sucks.
I was so bummed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have never noticed.
Yeah. You were so bummed.
I was so bummed. They were playing like good house music.
I thought you were joking at first, and then I'm like, oh no. Do you know who was performing?
Chainsmokers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you knew who they were when they were performing.
Yeah, they're good. It was
Yeah.
cool. Well, we were at the other place first. We were at Encore Pool.
We were at this place and it was definitely like, I looked around, I'm like, oh, this is like an EDM, like,
Yeah.
like I looked around, everyone's like jaws moving and all the girls are playing with their hair. I'm like, oh, this is like an EDM.
And it was younger too.
Yeah. It was like, there's like groups of like Asian people just like dancing hardcore. I'm like, oh, this is definitely like a Molly fest. Like everyone here is like raging.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't know how much I can like dance.
Jake wanted to show off the other club though.
Yeah.
He was big on that other club.
Yeah. Jake's like a local, well, not local celebrity everywhere. People, anytime we walk by like a club, like, cause especially too, I think
all like club promoters and
I think
bouncers,
for some reason, like
they
bouncers,
love
a lot of them like know MMA, like whether they train jujitsu or they're just fans of it. And in Vegas, I think that in general, Vegas, like MMA is very popular.
Right.
So people tend to, in Vegas and anywhere really the West Coast, I feel like MMA is way more popular.
That was the first time we were in the club together for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
But we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So daylight savings, I don't understand why people are so soft with that, but we'll move on. So there's some fights this weekend. I didn't watch this, but Eagle FC.
Mm-hmm.
It was Diego Sanchez versus Kevin Lee, and when that matchup first came about, I was like, oh my God, that's silly. Like Kevin Lee is gonna murder him.
That's what I thought.
But apparently it was a good scrap. Everything I read said that it was competitive, and I guess Diego landed a really good kick early in the fight, and it damaged Kevin Lee's knee, which sucks for him, but he was able to fight through it and get the win. But apparently it was a scrap. It
Yeah.
looked like Diego could still fight, they said. Like,
Yeah, if we weren't there, we definitely would have watched it. I'm kind of bummed we missed it.
yeah. And the other thing I heard about that is right now that you could watch Eagle FC for free through some app.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea is just to build audience, build a fan base.
Okay.
But I heard that 2 million people tuned in to watch.
Well, think about it. They have a lot of Russian fighters on there, and you know what I mean? They're probably all watching it. Um, like think about when I think we've talked about it before. Like Zabit, before he was even in the UFC, had like 1 million followers on Instagram,
Right.
and no one knew who he was here. That was all from Dagestan, so they have a huge following. I'm sure they're watching.
Yeah, it had like apparently 2 million streams, which is like insane because
Mhm.
like a good pay-per-view is like 800,000.
Oh
Like
wow,
if a
it's that
pay-per-view
much of a
breaks a
difference?
million, granted the pay-per-view you're paying for it, and this
Yeah,
is free.
yeah, but
So it's
still.
very different. But
Mhm.
the fact that many people are aware of it and tuning in, like I said it the first time I saw that show, I think that is going to make it.
Yeah, we
And
watched the
now,
last, not this one, the show before that, and,
yeah, and
and
I
it
was
was a really
impressed.
good production.
Yeah. But apparently I think Kevin Lee got paid, I read 230,000,
Okay.
which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Then I saw that they signed
Plus sponsors.
Junior Dos Santos and they're paying him 500K.
Wow.
I read. So they're paying fighters. That's a real organization, more so than any of the other ones aside from the UFC, I think.
No girls though.
No girls, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later. No ring girls either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was pretty impressive. And then we were at the UFC fights. It wasn't the best card I ever saw, but there was.
It was cool to go because it was in the Apex where they don't have like a typical crowd, but there's definitely they have like a set of bleachers on each side. The one thing I noticed, because obviously I fought at the Apex like that, but I've never spectated, is how quiet it was. I guess when I'm fighting, I don't realize it. I'm not paying attention.
And that's why everyone must hate you because it's just like,
Oh,
ka,
yeah, yeah.
ka.
It's like being quiet at a tennis match.
Yeah.
Everyone hates it. But I was thinking as soon as we were in there, the first fight, I was thinking, oh my God, like my corner is probably so embarrassing. Like everyone's probably like laughing
Screaming
because everyone
codes.
screams at each other. Like the last time between Mark, Sajara, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was thinking, I'm like, they probably think like, especially like Mark, between me yelling and Mark screaming 1 million codes, everyone probably thinks we're insane because it seemed like all the other corners were pretty quiet and calm.
Yeah. One thing that was pretty funny that happened because we're in this small arena, so you see everyone that's there. But Derek Moneyberg was there sitting in the front row in a couch, eating his snacks front and center. And he invited Caitlin. He was like, you want to come to the VIP and watch the fight from the front row on my couch?
Yeah, I
And
think
it
he
was
said,
like-
I know exactly how he said it. He was like, here, let me show you the view from the couch.
And Caitlin's like, I've fought here like 15 times.
I was like, I know the view from inside the cage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
But
not
it was kind of
impressed.
funny.
He's super
Because
nice.
most people would be like, oh my God, that's so sick. But
Yeah.
for you, you're like, what do you care?
Yeah, I was like, I know the view from inside the cage. I'm not impressed, but
But it was funny.
yeah.
So one fight that was interesting was Alex Pereira and Bruno Silva.
Mhm.
Alex Pereira is the kickboxer who defeated Israel Adesanya in a kickboxing fight. I think he knocked him out. I think head kick maybe, but so that's, if you beat Israel Adesanya in anything, you're
Yeah.
pretty badass. But it was his second UFC fight, and it was a pretty big step up in competition. Bruno Silva I think he was 28-7. He was on a 3-fight win streak, 3-0 in the UFC, and he beat good guys.
Mm-hmm.
So he was, a formidable opponent. But it was a competitive fight, but Pereira, it looked like he had like a little better striking and won. A lot of people are saying that, oh, he's going to be the guy to beat Israel Adesanya. I didn't see that,
Not even close.
but it's only his second fight.
Right.
Israel Adesanya, I think his second fight was against Marvin Vettori, and it was a split decision. It was a close fight. Yeah, Marvin Vettori. It was a close fight.
Marvin Vittori's pretty.
He is, but at the
Pretty good.
time,
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like sometimes you can fight. You could look at someone. This happens a lot with girls, and we've talked about it. Like Sajara, when she was going into the Ultimate Fighter, she didn't have the best record. I think she was like 2-2 or something. But like her losses were to
You and
me
Aspen
and
Ladd,
Aspen
right?
Ladd, who are both in the top 5, and it's like where other people could be undefeated and not fight. It's just kind of if you're lucky or not.
Yeah, but he's definitely impressive. He has really good kickboxing, good stand up, and I didn't know this, but in his corner was Glover Teixeira.
Yeah, he
So
trains
he's
with him.
Brazilian, but he now lives in Connecticut and trains with Glover. So, I mean, you can't really get a better like coach, workout partner than him
Yeah.
in terms of like well-rounded mixed martial arts.
Right.
Like if he learns, I mean, it looked like he had good takedown defense. The guy tried to take him down a few times, didn't even come close.
I think it's tough to, they put a lot of hype around him that he,
Definitely.
and of course, because he beat Israel, that's also the hype. And just, he had, good highlights before. So sometimes it's not that he isn't good. Obviously he's good.
You think you're going to see Israel out, someone better than Israel.
Yes. And that's kind of what
it's almost built up too much.
Yeah. They build it up a little too much. And then, your expectations are a little high, and it's not that he's not good. It's just,
No, he's definitely good. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how it works out. I think, training with Glover is only going to help. But
and second fight in the UFC, I mean,
that was a big step up.
yeah, 2 fights in the UFC is like nothing. That's like,
Yeah.
You get so much more because you get experience before the UFC, but then you have to get UFC experience.
Yeah. His next guy will probably be like a top 15 guy, though, I would say.
And that's pretty tough for your third
And then,
fight.
yeah, because then after top 15, there's a good chance you're top 10, top 12. Then, you're 3 fights away from a title fight.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm excited to follow him. The craziest fight on the card I thought was Drew Dober versus Terrence McKinney. Terrence McKinney, I was excited to watch. He was his second UFC fight. He was coming off like that 8-second knockout over our friend Matt Frivola. And McKinney just came out exactly like that. It was super explosive. It was like trying to finish the fight in 10 seconds. He was swinging as hard as he possibly could. And he almost put Dober out a couple times, but Drew Dober has like a tremendous amount of experience, and he's super tough. He's fought the very best guys in the division, Islam Makhachev being one of them. But his experience, it really just showed like how important experience is.
Yeah.
Because the other guy was better. He took him down. He was more explosive, faster. But Drew Dober's experience, and you're just like not flustered, and he was like,
knowing how to
weather this storm.
Knowing how to recover and having confidence that you'll recover and then come back out on top is something some people have, but most people get through experience. And I think that's what was the factor in this fight for him to win. I think that was a performance.
He got performance?
His performance. Remember after we were saying, we're like, I think that should be fight of the night.
I know. It was only one round, but it was definitely one of the best rounds I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah, it was really cool. Then we had Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong. That sounds like you're being funny, but that's his name, Song Yadong, right?
Song Yadong.
Yeah. So Song Yadong looked really, really good.
Wow, really good.
Like his forward pressure, and he was throwing super hard combinations, and
his power was
he
crazy.
hurt Marlon a few times before he put him away, but he's really good. That weight class is so fucking tough.
Yeah.
And then he called out Dominic Cruz, which
it's weird when people call Dominic Cruz out, because I feel like he's not really like, you can't really call him out. I almost feel like, because he's just gonna fight whenever he wants and whoever he wants. So.
I don't know. I mean, he just fought Pedro Munoz,
yeah.
And before that, he's like in the rankings. I don't think he's like a super fight type guy.
No,
I thought that was a decent call out. Yeah, but I think he kind of wants to.
Yeah,
I thought that was a good call out. I don't know if it'll happen, but he's really good.
Yeah, it's a tough fight. Obviously, I've trained with Marlon for years in Jersey, and good friend, and so it's like it just sucks seeing
a friend lose.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I mean, if you're in the sport, you're gonna lose, and
especially someone like him. He's fighting only the best people.
Yeah, you're in the top 10 of any division, especially the guys won the bantamweight. It's so tough to see. It's really sad, especially and I guess this is everyone, but when you know someone personally, he's got 2 kids that are watching, his wife's watching. It's just like,
yeah,
so bad. But that's just that's just how it is, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of memes suggesting that he fights Cody Garbrandt
Yeah. But now
because
Cody Garbrandt's like 125.
Oh, is he now? Is he gonna stay down there?
I mean, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Marlon. It's just such a tough weight class, and
Mhm.
then once you get to
Cuz
the
you could
top,
lose 3 or 4 in a
they're
row
not
and
gonna let him fight random
yeah.
person.
And you could lose 3 or 4 in a row, but it's like it's not that you're not good. You're in the like top 10 of one of the hardest weight divisions. Like it sucks cuz then there's other people that you definitely would murder, but then when you're up at the top, then you start getting paid more. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. Then the main event, Thiago Santos versus Magomed Ankalaev. I didn't think it was the most exciting fight
Mm.
of the night, but
I was surprised he didn't. I can't say his name.
Ankalaev.
Ankalaev didn't wrestle more. I was expecting him to do that.
Yeah, he really only went for one takedown. He got it. It was a really nice body lock, and he
Hmm.
blocked the knee, threw him to his back, and that was, this probably his best round.
Yeah,
But
and that was the only time he really went for a
it was
takedown,
the only
and he
time he
got
went for
out.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's a really good wrestler. But the fact that he beat Santos with basically just a kickboxing fight, one takedown, goes to show how tough he is.
Hmm.
Because when he uses his wrestling, which is I think his best attribute, I think he's someone who's going to be really tough for someone to beat. Even like Glover, the champ, because if you could stand in there and box with Santos,
Yeah.
you probably could stand in there and box with Glover. Glover a lot of times relies on the takedown, and I don't think that anyone in that division, aside from John Jones, is taking down Ankalaev.
Yeah.
He's like a legit wrestler.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. That's why I was like, remember the last time he fought before this, I was like, ooh, I like all his body locks and that type of wrestling. So I was excited to see that. And he didn't really do it. It's obviously easier said than done. Santos is super powerful. So to just go in and body lock someone that
Right.
has like crazy knockout power with everything they throw, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that his next fight, maybe I could think that maybe him fighting like Anthony Smith would be a good fight. And then if you win that, then you got to think that he will fight for a title. I think he's on like a 7 or 8 fight win streak.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Islam of that division,
Mhm.
like slowly
Usually you don't
moving up.
see that like, Russians in that style for the heavier weight classes.
Yeah, you haven't seen it too much yet. But yeah, so that was the card. Um Anything else about it?
No. It was just interesting. Like I said, it was just interesting to see it from, from that point of view.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. It's cool to see because you're like, every time someone kicked and punched, we were like, oh my God. Like every fight, not just one
Yeah, you
specific.
hear it.
Anytime they were, especially low kicks, they were throwing it. And even just the punches, everything sounded so like
Right.
violent.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. So we had a few fan questions that we liked.
Okay, so the first one we had was asking about Kim K or our response to Kim K. So I think it was like for International Women's Day, her and her
That was last week.
yeah, her and her sisters they did.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. I thought you forget.
Okay.
They said what's your advice? Something along the lines like, what's your advice to women entrepreneurs? And she said, like, get your fucking ass up and work. No one wants to work these days. And you have to do the work and blah, 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 and all that. And then, when I saw that, I was like, damn, I like that. I'm like, of course. Like, she's just being real. Like, there's no like cute girl boss answer. It's just do the work. And then it was interesting because then, she obviously it's Kim K, so she's going to get like a lot of backlash. And everyone was posting, it was kind of funny, the meme of her and Ray J and like the clip from their sex tape. And it said, get your fucking ass up and work. And everyone's insinuating, oh, she got famous because of a sex tape. Sorry, I went to work. Or like, talking about that and saying she came from like a rich family. She was privileged. And just made a sex tape. So she shouldn't say that.
I mean, that is so ridiculous. And it's so upsetting to me that nowadays, if you insinuate or suggest like hard work is the answer, kind of like when the girl started the GoFundMe page
Mm-hmm.
for the UFC fighter started the GoFundMe page, and you said something how you used to work
Mm-hmm.
uh, bartending, and that's what you have to do. You have to work two jobs until you start getting paid more, and everyone gave you slack. They were saying like, that just because you suffered doesn't mean someone else should. And I think they call it crabs in a barrel type thing, like that you're preventing, just because you had a hard time getting out
Right.
shouldn't mean that she should have a hard time getting out. Where
Or people,
before it
I
used
think,
to be like, well, of course, the answer is,
hard
it was like
work.
pull your bootstraps up
Yeah.
and go out there and work. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's being like poisoned that
Mm-hmm.
suggesting someone needs to work hard is just like a travesty.
It's funny, like, I think we're right around the time when it was a little bit after I was like a kid in sports. I think maybe I was in high school or college. That's when they started doing the whole like participation award thing.
Right.
And I remember I was too young to really know, but I remember everyone making such a big deal about it. And they're like, this is terrible. It's not good for kids. It's teaching them bad lessons. And I remember at the time I was
Who
probably, like I
cares?
said, high school and college. I'm like, well, I think it's stupid, but who really cares? Like some of these parents are just bored. And then I'm like, but you're seeing that. That was kind of the
Oh,
start of
yeah.
it. And it's just like, that's the start of it. Like a participation award is like, I mean, a participation award should be like the parents of the kid that sucked being like getting in the car after and being like, hey, you tried your best. That was good. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be, it doesn't need to be rewarded in front of everyone because then that takes away from the person, whatever. We don't need to go into that, but that's the same type of thing. Like even everyone's saying,
Like they're giving her a lot of slack about
they're
that.
like, oh, she just made a sex tape. Well, a lot of people make sex tapes and they're not that famous.
Well, you think that Kim K was the only girl that Ray J hooked up with?
Right.
You think it's the only one that he made a tape with?
Mm-hmm.
No, and not many people turn in from hooking up with a random guy or a celebrity to being the most influential, one of the most influential and richest people in the country or the
Right.
world.
Exactly.
I mean, he's probably hooked up with thousands of girls,
Mm-hmm.
and none of them turned into Kim K.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, people have been saying that about Kardashians for so long. Like, oh, they got famous because of a sex tape. I'm like, well, you just sound ignorant. Like, I don't
There's a
know.
lot of people put out sex tapes,
And there's a lot more steps that go beyond there to becoming like, making $1 billion businesses that
right.
she's made, and that's not.
And even if she did come from like a wealthy family, like it wasn't like wealthy like Elon Musk was her dad. Her dad was like a
Her dad was
successful lawyer.
right.
And maybe they were millionaires, but it's one thing to, let's say you inherit $1 million. People don't understand the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire
Yeah,
is like ridiculous.
It's a
It's
joke.
not even close. And
Mhm.
is she a billionaire? If she's not, she's
I
very close.
I think so.
I think she is a billionaire, but even if she had like started off with 10 million, turn 10 million into a billion.
Yeah,
It's inconceivable.
right.
It's impossible.
I just don't understand people are like such haters.
Yeah,
I mean, I do
stand
understand because that's everyone now, but you know what I mean? Like, no, like what she was saying, it just proves her point even more so. Like, you have to work hard, but no one wants to do that.
That. Yeah.
They just want to sit there and complain like, oh, well, she only got it because she made a sex tape or
So
her,
make
her
a
dad
sex
was a
tape.
lawyer and had money. It's like, well, that doesn't mean her dad didn't teach her how to run like several multi-million, sometimes $1 billion businesses. He
And
died when she was a kid. So,
right. And to be able to like keep the world's attention for decades just by like,
look how many
living
celebrities
your life
come and go, like,
Right.
and they stay around for that long.
for
And how many,
decades.
yeah.
Yeah. It
It was just funny how when I first heard it, I was like, wow. I was like, I like that. I'm like, oh, she's cool. Like that's, and then
Yes.
like the next day I wake up and I'm like, oh, how am I so off? Like I thought it was like, it was so cool and like, not, I wouldn't say like inspiring, but I was just like, oh, I like that. I agree with it. And then the next day I like see people like posting that stuff and I'm like, ooh, how it's just crazy how some people can be in like totally different
I know.
mindsets.
But it reminded me a lot of what happened with you with that whole GoFundMe. You commented one thing, and
Mhm.
it was the most engagement I've ever seen with anything that you've ever done. There's like thousands of
Mhm.
comments and how terrible you were for suggesting someone get another job
Yeah, I think
and be
people were
like,
saying
You should just give money to the GoFundMe." Like that is like criminal.
it's like, okay, they had that GoFundMe. Now what happened? She got cut from the UFC and now she's
Right.
back doing
So
like
now
so
just
now
start
she
another GoFundMe.
so what did that money do? That money helped her MMA career? No.
Of course it didn't.
And it's just like you have to be just because you want to do fighting or whatever it is, it doesn't mean you get to do it. You have to be the best at it to make it a career. The fact that she got to the UFC and did that was amazing, but you can't just because you like it and you're doing it doesn't mean you to do that for the rest of your life. No one feels bad for the NFL players that get cut every single year.
Of
No one
course.
even knows about them. And I remember with that, like people were like, well, she has a daughter. I'm like, well, that's even worse that
Irresponsible.
I'm like, that's irresponsible that you're not financially stable when you are having a kid and then you're following your dreams, which sounds good on paper, but that's why I haven't had kids because I'm still focusing on fighting and career and that's not fair to do both. I can't.
Of
So like
course.
sometimes people are getting punished for doing the responsible and the right thing, but then other people they feel bad for and they're like gifted.
Right.
I don't understand.
I mean, unless you're like just outrageously talented at something or, I guess lucky, but there's not really such thing as luck. But the answer is always what Kim K said. You gotta fucking work.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
gotta
like
work really hard at
every
anything.
everyone felt bad for that girl. They're like, she's in the UFC, she shouldn't have to work. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I bartended because I could train at night. So I would bartend till get home at 4 a.m., wake up at, 7 and drive 2 hours to go spar and
Yeah,
do it all over again just because that's what you had to do. And I didn't think I was like anything special for doing that. That's what you're doing. I want to fight, but I'm not at the level where I can support myself yet. So how can I make this work? Okay, I'll work at night and then I can train until I get to the point where I'm able to not like doing well enough in fighting where I can quit bartending. And then it worked out.
exactly. Now look at you.
Look at me now.
But the people who are hating on Kim are the same people who hate on just the uber successful people anyway. They're like, we're cancel billionaires, or they should,
Mm-hmm.
the redistribution of wealth people. I love that there's people that are doing like way better than me. I
Yeah.
love that because it gives you something to like work towards. Like you look at like, I think sometimes, oh, we're doing pretty good. Then you spend the afternoon with Derek Moneyberg, and then you're like, fuck, what are we doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
If if everyone was the same and everyone was just, given the same amount and everyone just didn't have to work, I would fucking hate that. I love that there's people that are doing way worse than me, and I love that there's people doing way better than me
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you stay motivated.
Right. Or you don't. If that doesn't motivate you and you're happy with where you are, then just do your own thing. But like you said, I think it's so cool to see other people. You're like, wow, this is what you could do if you work hard, if you have good ideas and you
Right.
do the right things to follow through with certain businesses, you can have that success. So it's almost like when you hear other people's stories, I just think it's so motivating. And when people like hate on that, I'm like, wait, that's what you got from hearing that whole story is that that's ridiculous that they have that much money. Well, I bet you those people that hate on Jeff Bezos, I guarantee they're ordering their dog food, their
Of course.
groceries, everything. They're still ordering on Amazon
Of
and they need
course.
that, but then they're hating on it. It doesn't make any sense.
That
It's
doesn't.
very childish.
Yeah. We should have asked Derek Moneyberg about this. He would have loved that because he kept talking about how much he works and hasn't taken a day off in years and
Hmm.
doesn't do holidays or his wife's or girlfriend's birthday.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't do any of that stuff. And I was like, damn, I gotta step it up. But fuck, we're just in Vegas, just hanging
I
out.
know, I
I
know.
gotta do something.
Yeah, he said that and I was like, "Oh, I like hanging out on my birthday sometimes."
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's just so funny how people look at things so differently.
Mhm.
But fuck those people.
Yeah.
Um, so then someone asked, what are red flags?
Do you know what that means?
I've been seeing it a lot.
Yeah, like red flags for relationships or like the opposite sex
Okay.
type of
So
thing.
it's like while you're in a relationship or
Well,
things like you before you got into a relationship, you'd say,
I
"Oh,
think like
that's a
in the
red flag."
dating, when you're meeting someone or getting to know some more the dating. I mean, obviously, if you're worried about like red flags after you're married, it's kind of
Right, right.
yeah, right? Zane, you're younger. Are we saying this right? Okay, thank you.
So what is it? It's before.
Well, either one. I'm sure you could have red flags in a marriage.
Okay, so what are your red flags?
Okay, so we're saying like when you're just dating someone.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I got to go back a couple years. Think about this. You didn't have any red flags. You had all green flags. Um, okay. Let me think. Red flags would be like, I think if like a guy is taking or posting individual pictures of themselves on social media all the time.
I think that could be age specific.
Well, I don't. That's just for me. I think,
Yeah.
and it's definitely a double standard. I think that girls can do it. I do it all the time, but and you could do a few of them. But if every picture is you looking off into the distance, like with like a graffiti wall in the back, red flag.
Mhm. Um I think that if the girls who say things like, "Oh, I only have guy friends," or "I don't get along with girls. I get along with guys better."
Do you know what they
Um,
call them?
no.
Pick me girls.
Pick me girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost like, yeah, like, see, I'm cool. I could do this. Like, I don't like that. And it's not like I'm jealous, like, oh, you can't have guy friends. But if you get along better with guys, then maybe you're kind of like, I want like a girl,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't want someone who's like one of the guys.
Yeah.
So
Because you
that's
prefer
something
women.
that's kind of like a turn off to me. Like if a girl were to say something like that, you don't
Yeah.
hear about that too much.
This is
But
like the girls are like, "Ugh, I just love video games." And they
yeah,
say it in front of, I mean, some do, but you know the difference. Or
yeah,
like the a pick me girl is like, say you're in a group of girls and guys and like, say I have like, I have makeup on and makeup on in a dress and this girl comes in and she's like, I never wear makeup. I just don't like it. And like, it's obvious that I have a full face of makeup on and she's
right,
saying it
right.
in front of the guys. You're like, all right, bitch, relax. Maybe you should use some makeup.
I'm trying to think of other ones. I think anytime a girl is like really into astrology,
Oh, that's a good
that's a
one.
red flag for me.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, if you're like into astrology and signs and moons and oh, you seem like a Cancer, like uh, I'm a Gemini, like no,
What's your water sign?
Yeah, so girl, the more into astrology you are, the more red flags I see.
Yeah. I would say any a guy that's super into cats.
It's so funny you say that because the next thing I was gonna say was pets,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say if a girl has a ferret,
Yeah,
if a
that's way
girl has
worse.
a ferret,
Any type of
that
pet, like
is
I hate cats and I think that's like the worst, but it could be like I guess I don't know. It could be like exceptional, but any pets beyond cats and dogs is like ferrets or I don't know,
I
snakes or
sort of dated a
spiders.
girl who had a ferret
You
once.
did, of course you
Well,
did. You
not
probably
really
dated a
dated, but
few.
she like held it. I went to her house one time. It was holding it. Like I was like, oh my god! And you like smell like what a ferret's house
Ew.
smells like.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh my
it was
god,
really gross.
that's really gross. Red flag for sure.
Definitely a red flag.
Um, trying to think what else. I don't know. I don't know if this is a red flag, but like I don't know how to say this, but like this happened like kind of recently. I was like at a store and like guy had a mask on and felt like he was like trying to like look at me and stuff and get my attention. But I was like in the store and like I
Okay.
was like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. Like he like had like the mask like tight on his nose when you don't have to wear it in the store. And I'm like, you can't really try to like hit on me if you're wearing like a tight mask. It's super
Right.
uncomfortable. That was like a little bit of a red flag.
Well,
But
yeah,
that's almost not a red flag. That's just like a preference thing, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think that if I I've said this before. I once did a podcast years ago. It was called The Undateables, like what makes someone undateable.
Mm-hmm.
This was like 10 years ago. This was before like the red flag thing. But undateables is kind of like the same type of thing, red flags. But I remember we came up with if a girl cannot or struggles to wake up before 9 a.m., like the girls who are sleepy girls
Guys
and have to
and
sleep
girls.
all day. Yeah, guys or girls. Like any like sleepy person, to me, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Like, if you're sleeping all day. And
I
like,
hate sleepy people.
yeah, and like then you go somewhere and like basically like pajamas,
Oh.
your hair's a mess.
Yeah.
Like, that the sleepy people is a big red flag to me.
Yeah, I don't sleepy people are like wearing pajamas in public, especially I don't even that's a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
I hate
Even
when
with the little kids.
I hate when I see. I'm not saying you have to be like dressed up and like crazy, but I mean, wake up and put sweatpants on. But
Right.
like when I see people in the store at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and their kids have like Tweety Bird pajamas on, I'm like, ooh, like I don't know. I just hate pajamas in public. It's so funny because I remember being younger and like wanting to wear pajamas out. And like,
Really?
yeah, like I don't know. You're just like, oh, let me wear my pajamas. And then I remember my mom like, there's so many things when you're younger and like your parents don't let you do, and you think like, oh, they're like so mean. They don't let me do anything, or like, so you name someone else in your class, their mom lets them do that. And then now that you're older, you're like, well, of course, like, you know what I mean? And now I'm like, why would I wear pajamas out in public in the afternoon? You know what I mean? And it's so funny. There's so many things like that you think are like, it sucks. Like I remember, I'm sure every kid like, oh, can I get a hamster? No, you're not getting a hamster. And thinking like your parents are so mean and like you're not. But now I'm like, I would never let our kids have a hamster.
Yeah, of course.
It's disgusting.
Very disgusting. Any other red flags that I could
Zane,
think of? You got any
do you
red
have
flags?
any red flags?
Got one that I think works.
What?
I think this is the one law I've continued to live my life by. If I'm ever dating someone and they say all my exes are crazy, that's a red flag.
That's a red flag.
That's a good one.
That's definitely a red flag.
I think that's just super immature too.
Yeah, you know what? This is gonna sound kind of crazy, and you're gonna have to think. It's layered a little bit. You're gonna have to think about it. If a girl doesn't have social media, it's a red flag.
You know what? I think you're correct.
Because like
I agree.
Why? Why don't you?
You don't have to use
what
it
are you hiding?
nonstop. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to be like obsessed like a social media, but if a girl has no social media, to me that's a red flag.
That's like
what's going on?
That's like the show You on Netflix. That's like the
Right.
You vibes, you
Yeah.
know, like not having it's funny.
I would be like so thrown off. I'd be like nothing if you like Google them, you don't see anything, and like they're just like a ghost.
Yeah, that is true. And it's interesting because I wouldn't think it's weird if a guy didn't have social media. It would be
No.
weird, but like I don't know. For some reason it seems weird. Or like you could have it and not use it. I have friends that have and never post, but they
Right.
like go on it and look at other
Well,
people's
and send
things.
memes back and forth. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like a girl that doesn't have social media at one point did have a social media.
It's deleted.
Well, there's some reason behind it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always like an
Because
ulterior.
like if you don't know any, if you literally have never been on it and you don't know about like memes or
Mhm.
you know, like I don't know. I think that's a red flag.
Right.
Some people would be, oh no, that's good. Why would you want a girl? No, it's not good.
One of my ex-girlfriends didn't have social media.
Yeah,
It's
Good
a
thing
large
she's
reason
your
why she's an ex.
Was she crazy?
Oh my god. So insane.
Really? What was so
I-
insane?
I don't think I've ever met like a more like self-serving person, like someone who's like all about like me. And like and I'm like 18, so I'm like, oh, like I don't know anything.
You're just like, oh, that's how girls are.
I'm just like, yeah, this is like my like first girlfriend, like whatever, cool.
uh-huh.
And then like you start to realize it's like people that like make you seem that that make you seem like you're the problem are actually the problem most times.
Right. They're
Mhm.
flipping on you.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
Girl boss,
Yes,
gaslight, and
gaslighting.
gatekeep.
So
Yeah.
that's what gaslighting means, because people say that all the time, like, yeah, gaslighting. I'm like, I don't really understand it. It just means you flip it over when you do something wrong. You just flip it on the person.
Topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy, that
Okay.
motherfucker.
Because people say that all the time. Stop gaslighting him. I'm like, what? I don't know what that means. Not that they say it to me, but that's super trendy.
Yeah.
Maybe another red flag would be like if they're like always changing their phone number.
Oh, yeah.
But you'd have to like date them. I mean,
you'd
if
have to date them for a while. But that's funny that you say that because me and Gregor have talked about this so many times. You can tell how fucked up someone is by how many times they change your phone number. Like if you type in your phone, like, you know,
Kyle.
say Kyle, and it says Kyle's new number. And they're like Kyle's other new, like a couple times. Like I have one friend in particular I'm thinking about right now, and I type in his name. I'm not going to say it, but I have like 5 numbers for him.
I think you're allowed 1 number change.
I think you're allowed 0 number changes.
Yeah, I mean, I've never changed. I have the same number since I was
But like
16.
really fucked up people always have a new number.
Yeah.
Gregor was showing me one guy who like trains his kid or something, and he was like, "Watch this," and he typed in his first name and had like 6 numbers.
That's crazy.
Because your phone's getting shut off, or you have to change it for something.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more times you change your number, the more fucked up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What about this one? How early can you say I love you without it being a red flag?
Well, that's a different thing. That's like if you're already in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think
weird.
it has to have. I don't think that that's that much of a big deal.
Really?
I don't. I think sometimes you could feel it really soon, and maybe you both like have like a really intense relationship.
But it's always like puppy love. You know what I mean? At first, like.
Yeah, but I think sometimes those are like really intense feelings that you feel right away. I don't think it's necessarily a red flag. Like, especially if you say it because there's intense feeling with like the expectation of her saying it back. Like you feel that you love each other, then I think it's okay to say it regardless of how much time has gone by. But if you just say, I love you, and she's like, I don't even know you. Like if that's a possibility and you can't detect that she shares the same emotions, then it's a red flag.
Yeah.
You need to be able to detect. You can't share that feeling with someone unless you know that that's how they feel about you too. You know what I mean by that?
That's a big personality trait where you don't understand social things and like you can't pick up on what the other person's feeling. Like we say it all the time. Like if someone's having like small talk with you, you're like, how can you not know that I'm not doing it back? And they just keep small talking with you, and you're like, oh, that's almost like you're a little of an insane person where you're talking to me and
like, I'm done with this conversation.
Yeah,
can't you tell?
when someone's like talking to you.
Oh, word, nice, sick.
Yeah, when you're just doing that, like, and someone just keeps talking, it's like, how do you not know? And it's kind
social
of the same.
Cues,
yeah,
right?
And I think with the I love you, it's an interesting thing because if you say it and the other if you really feel it, you feel it right away, and the other person does too, then it's fine. But if you're saying it and the other person's like, wait, what? And if you say it and the other person's not feeling the same way, like even remotely, then it's like, wait, that's weird that you can't pick up. You're just so self-absorbed in your own feelings. You're not understanding what their feelings are like. But it's weird because if you both feel it, then it's fine.
So this is the best possible outcome when you say it for the first time. When you say it to the first time, the other person should be like, I was gonna say it. I was just thinking it was
that
too
should
soon.
be the conversation.
Like that should be after you say I love you. Be like, oh my god, I wanted to say it to you.
I've been wanting to say it,
like,
but yeah,
it should be like that, and that's when you can say it. Like, do you remember the first time we said it?
Yeah.
Where were we?
Why do you quiz
Set the
me
scene.
like
Set
I
the
don't
scene.
know?
Where were we?
We were in St. Martin, and we were
in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were in
Wait,
the
you always question me like I don't know.
I wasn't sure, but that's what should happen. It should be like,
wait, no,
I
don't
love you, I
stop.
love
Keep
you.
going. Keep going.
No.
I mean, that's pretty
Set the
much it.
scene. Like,
no, but that's what I'm saying is like when I said it, she said right away, like, oh my god, I wanted to say it last week.
But what was the conversation before that?
No
Kyle?
real conversation, But so I don't think it matters how soon it is my point.
Okay.
Long story short.
When was
But
this? How far
you
into the
have to be
relationship?
able to interpret those feelings. You can't just say it like, I love you. And someone's like, wait,
What?
I don't even know
I don't
you.
even like
Like,
you.
if you say it then you're fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Giant red flag.
I agree.
When you say it, you should kind of know, like, you're nervous to say it, but you kind of know that they want to say it too. There's been some type of like awkward part of the thing where you're like, you both know that one of you almost said it, and it's usually the guy has to say it first.
Did you ever see
pretty
that
much.
Seinfeld where George tells the girl he loves her? He's like, I've never told a girl I loved her before. And then he's like, I got to say it at least once. So he tells the girl, he's like, says her name. He's like, Caitlin, I love you. And then she waits a minute. She's like, I'm hungry. Let's get something to eat.
Aw.
And then he was like distraught about it. Then he was like, well, maybe she didn't hear me.
Oh no.
And then he said it again. And she's like, yeah, I heard you last time. Or yeah, I know. I heard you last time.
That's funny.
But
yeah.
yeah. So if you're not like confident in the I love you return, you shouldn't say it.
So there's I love you, but what about I like you? Like, where does that fit in? Did you tell Caitlin you liked her when you guys first started going out, or how did you approach that?
I mean, we didn't know each other before we like dated, so it was obvious. Like, I think if you have mutual friends, I think that you could be like hanging out with other friends and be like, I'm kind of into this, but I don't know if they like me or if they're just being nice because we're all friends. Like, we like knew some similar people, but obviously, like when the first time I met him, we were going like on a date, so it was kind of obvious that we liked each
Right.
other.
But you're saying like if you're dating
And saying
then
like, hey,
usually you say like, oh, like seldom have I ever said, oh, will you be my girlfriend or are you my
Mhm.
girlfriend? I just like enough time passes and it's almost like implied.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
basically,
I know what you mean.
yeah, I think when you get like a
never
little older,
really-
you don't really say like, will you
Will
be my girl? I
girlfriend?
think you just say, are you hooking up
No.
with other people or not?
Even maybe you don't even need to say that.
Yeah. I think like
It's
because
just like it should just evolve and
Mhm.
you should know without saying it, like where to go, you know?
like I think
Mhm.
But
like
then you could ask like, will you marry me? Then that's something you have to ask. But in terms of the dating,
I don't think we ever like said like
you could like joke around, like really, oh, you're like my real girlfriend.
yeah, or like some people like say I think you're like I guess we never really talked about it, you know. I think that kind of
Mhm.
happens. I remember like when we first started dating, I was like I kind of like felt like you were probably like dating someone else.
Well, when we first started talking,
Yeah, when we first started talking, but like I
Yeah.
knew like I knew you were dating someone else, but I didn't really care because it wasn't like I didn't get I mean I didn't know for sure, but I didn't get the vibe that you were like in a super serious relationship, but you were definitely dating someone. But I was like, I don't really care because it's not that serious and I want to date you. So
right?
I just kind of scooped you up.
Yeah, that's true.
So what about putting out too early? You think that's a red flag?
Putting out sexually?
Yeah.
No,
No.
I don't think so. Yeah. Do you?
No.
Yeah, no.
I just wanted to get your guys'
No,
I
take.
think
not at
that's
all.
like an immature thing that guys like say.
I don't think that. I think
Maybe
that's
not
I
anymore.
think that's from a bygone era.
Like yeah, a little
Like,
old school.
Yeah. Oh, she's a slut if she hooks up with you
On the first
date.
date.
Like, what?
Mhm.
No. Like, and
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's something that I couldn't possibly care less about.
Mm-hmm.
Or same with like, is it a red flag if a girl had, she's with like, 100 different guys before
Body
you,
count.
or body count, real high body count. Is that a red flag?
I think to most guys my age that would be.
To me, it's not at all. It's really not.
I
But maybe
agree.
when you were
'Cause-
younger, do you think you would, or
Maybe like way younger.
like high
high
school,
school, college. Yeah.
Like
then.
my age?
Yeah, your age. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then as I got older, like I'm like, I mean, she's either gonna like you or not. Like, I'm not looking for some like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really bother that. I don't judge people based
Mhm.
on that.
I don't think that
'cause it
bothers.
means nothing.
Mhm.
You know,
I don't think
like
that.
I've been with a lot of people, but like it mean like nothing.
Oh my god, Kyle, what's your body
You know?
count?
Oh my god! Stop.
I don't know.
Stop.
She's never even asked me that.
Because I don't need to know Kyle.
Well, I never asked either.
I don't need to know Kyle's body count.
Actually, Kyle, let me put you on the spot real quick.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
I know
gosh.
there's like there's a day that you like propose, right? Like there's like the day that you like you plan like this is the day I'm gonna propose to Caitlyn.
Yeah.
But when did you know you were gonna propose to Caitlyn? Set the scene. For
I
me.
can't wait. First of all, before he starts, I can't believe that he was able to like totally shock me and like surprise me. I remember like 2 weeks before he proposed, I was with my friend. She was like, "Oh, do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, we had already bought our house and lived together." So I kind of like felt like I wasn't like, I wonder if he's gonna marry me. Like I kind of knew, but it was just like I remember saying, I was like, "Yeah," but I know he hasn't like done it yet because he hasn't even like asked me about a ring. He doesn't know my ring size. Like I'm like, there's no, if he was doing the process,
She thinks I'm incompetent to do anything.
no,
so.
it's and it is hard for him because I am like very nosy and I just know everything. Like you know what I mean? He can't really do anything. But like I just like I was like if he would have said something that would have like
I'm not good at surprises.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it'll be like the day before Christmas Eve and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, nothing. I'm just running an errand real quick." I'm like, "Okay, he's getting me a Christmas gift." Like obvious. Cuz we talk all the time. I know what he's doing. So I was like, he would have never had an opportunity to, this makes it sound like I don't let him do anything. He would have never had the opportunity to go to like a jewelry store and I didn't know just cuz we live together and we talk all day. So, but yeah, you continue. You can answer. When did you know you were going to?
So obviously, like after we moved in together, I figured, but I didn't think that we'd necessarily get like married like in a traditional way. I thought like we'd go to like training at Henzo's in the city and then like be like, they should get married today and like go to the city hall and get married. No, that's really what I thought was gonna happen.
I would have thought that.
I
You
really
would be
thought,
okay with that?
Well, before we always said
thought
that
that's really what we were gonna do, and we were gonna just be like go and like we'd be in like our sweats and like sweaty after the jiu-jitsu and then like post on social media like we got married today and that was it.
because we both said that we didn't really want to do a wedding.
But I'm so happy that we did, and we did it like with our engagement, everything I was happy with. But I always thought that we would do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like before when we decided we were going to buy a house together. And then,
I mean, I think when you buy a house together, you're
that's
like,
really
you're
mainstream.
planning, and we had like
That's way
said we
more of a
knew that.
commitment.
I think we both knew that we wanted to get married. We just didn't think of it as that big of a deal because we both knew we weren't really like the idea of a wedding wasn't something that we were really thinking about. So we were like, whatever about the house. And then once you buy a house and you live together, you're like, well, I already feel married. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's already like a huge like financial commitment. And then, but yeah, I was definitely surprised when you asked me to marry you. Not that you asked me, just that you actually pulled it off without, you know what I mean, without me snooping around and finding out.
Yeah. That was a fun day. Anything else? Any other flags?
That's about it for me. Simple guy.
Simple guy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. Please share, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I get so happy when I see that number go up.
And if it doesn't, he's not happy.
Yeah.
So
No
thank
pressure.
you guys.